everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I will be sharing 5 ways to gain clinical experience to get on the Msc Preregistration nursing program in the UK. My name is Winnie and this is where I share my experience as an international student studying in the United Kingdom. Don't go anywhere, I'll be right back. Point number 1, working as a healthcare assistant. Now, as a healthcare assistant, you find out that you are in direct patient contact and you are exposed to clinical settings. Now, you have exposure to hands-on clinical care, and even some healthcare assistants, especially in care homes, are medication trained, so they come across a variety of medicines and some even administer medication depending on the facility. Okay, so you find out that you already have direct hands-on clinical experience, and even if you are not administering medication or doing any of those clinical skills, you are working with nurses. Okay, and by observing, you can have an idea of what goes on in the typical day of a nurse, and that is hands-on experience that can translate as clinical experience for the purpose of this course. Now, another way you can gain this experience is working in the community. You can volunteer to work in a community facility, like a community clinic. I'm trying to remember what they call those clinics now, but in the community there are many clinics, like maybe sexual health clinics, clinics for maternity, pregnant women, those sort of clinics. You can also volunteer there. Just whatever kind of experience brings you in direct patient contact will serve as clinical experience. Another way that you can gain experience is volunteering with the NHS. So you can be a clinical volunteer. Now, take note that within the NHS, there are different arms of volunteering. There are the clinical volunteers, there are the shops volunteers. So make sure that you are choosing the right one that will help you. If you volunteer as a clinical volunteer, you can even have some timesheets that your manager or whoever is responsible for volunteers will sign off at the end of every week. So that also can be your evidence for clinical hours. Another way you can gain hands-on clinical experience will be working in a health-related field. Perhaps you have worked with physiotherapists as a therapy assistant, or I think they call them, it's therapy assistants, they call them. You are working with physiotherapists, with occupational therapies. You are working as a support worker within the radiology department. All this can translate as clinical experience because you are actually working in a health-related field and you have contact with patients. Okay, so this can also serve as some sort of clinical experience. Or perhaps you are a physiotherapist that is looking to transition into nursing. That experience is hands-on. Okay, a radiotherapist, it's hands-on experience, and you can get on board this program. Okay, another way you can gain clinical experience is by working in private care facilities. So it's not just about working in government hospitals, or if you're in the UK, what we call the NHS. You can go into the private sector. If you have worked in the private sector in any patient related field, whether as any of those occupations that I've mentioned earlier, physiotherapist, radiographer, biologist, if you've worked in any of those fields, pharmacy, maybe pharmacy assistant, you've worked in any of those fields, perhaps in the private sector, this can also serve as clinical experience, regardless of what country you are watching me from. That can also serve as clinical experience. As long as you can evidence this, there's a manager, there's the human resource department that can evidence that you have achieved that amount of clinical hours. That will also suffice. So working in the private sector is also a good way of gaining clinical experience. Now, you can even volunteer. It doesn't necessarily have to be a paid role. It can be a role where you volunteer some amount of hours every week. Okay, that will also help you achieve the clinical hours that is required on board this course. Another way you can gain clinical experience is by interning in social care facilities, charitable organizations. Especially if you are from Africa, there are a lot of charities, recognized charities like the World Health Organization. You also have other reputable charities where you can volunteer with, or you can do an internship, whether it's paid or is a voluntary role, this will also serve as clinical experience. Okay, whether it's in the social care setting or setup, like going to people's home, maybe homes for people with learning disabilities, or even within the mental health field. You can also, if you have interned within the mental health field and you've been in patient contact in a clinical setting, a clinical role, that also would suffice as some sort of clinical experience. So I would advise you, if you're planning to get on this course and you don't have clinical experience, think about everything I've mentioned today and look for a way you can go somewhere, look for a facility near you that fits into whatever all the other options I've described, and you can go there. Either you apply for an internship role, or you apply for a job role, or you even go there and tell them you are willing to volunteer. And I keep on saying it, I don't think anybody rejects help. Okay, you tell them that you want to volunteer, and this is why you want to volunteer. You want to have an idea of what a typical day within that clinical setup looks like, because you are intending to pursue a career in nursing. So guys, I hope you learned one thing or the other from this video. Now, if you haven't clicked on the subscribe button, what are you waiting for? Click on the subscribe button, like, share, and please drop your comments. Drop your comment. You know, I respond to comments. Drop your comments in the comment section. Ask your questions. Okay, is there any video that you need clarity on? Let me know and I could do a video to address that. Until we meet again, guys, keep winning and enjoying life, and bye bye.